Life is heavy. You feel it pressing down on you every single day. It's that unrelenting pressure that no one else can see. Maybe it's the expectations others have placed on you, the fear of failure, or the haunting memories of mistakes you can't undo. Whatever it is, it's weighing on you. And the world? It doesn't stop to ask if you're okay. That's the cold truth. No one is coming to save you. But here's the thing. You don't need them. You don't need anyone to lift that weight for you. You're stronger than you think, and that strength is revealed in silence. Most people spend their lives hoping someone will notice their pain. They complain, vent, and share their struggles in search of validation. Maybe they get it. Maybe someone gives them a kind word, a pat on the back, or a sympathetic nod. But none of that changes anything. The weight doesn't magically lift. The struggle doesn't disappear. So why waste time looking for pity? That's not where strength is born. Strength is born in the quiet moments when you decide to stop broadcasting your pain and start building something meaningful in spite of it. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you seen people sharing their hardships online, hoping for attention or validation? They write long posts about how unfair life is, and for a brief moment, they get what they want. A handful of likes, a few comments of support. But then what? Does that attention lighten their load? Does it move them closer to their goals? Of course not. The problem is still there, and the weight is just as heavy. All they've done is waste valuable energy looking outward when they should have been focusing inward. Every person is carrying something. Everyone has their own struggles, their own battles. But the ones who rise above, the ones who truly succeed, don't spend their time looking for sympathy. They don't seek validation. They channel their energy into solutions, into growth, into action. They carry their burdens in silence, letting their progress and results do all the talking. This isn't to say that your pain isn't real. The sleepless nights, the overwhelming doubts, the moments when it feels like the weight will crush you. They're all real. But the question isn't whether your pain is valid. The question is what you're going to do about it. Complaining about it, looking for pity, or waiting for someone to notice. That's not the answer. The world doesn't reward excuses. It rewards resilience. When you seek validation, you give away your power. It's like saying, I can't handle this on my own. I need someone else to make me feel better. But here's the hard truth. No one else can fix this for you. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't carry your burdens for you. And why would you want them to? That weight you're carrying, as heavy as it feels right now, isn't here to crush you. It's here to build you. Your struggle isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It might not feel like one, but it is. That weight is shaping you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unshakable. Every tear, every failure, every sleepless night, it's all part of the process. But none of that transformation happens if you waste your energy looking outward. It happens when you stop seeking validation and start owning your journey. Look at the people you admire, the ones who've overcome insurmountable odds, who've achieved greatness, who've turned their pain into power. Do you think they got there by complaining about how hard it was, by asking for sympathy, or waiting for someone to notice? Of course not. They carried their burdens in silence. They put in the work. They let their actions speak louder than any words ever could. Silence is misunderstood. People think it's weakness. They think it's about suppressing your emotions or pretending you're okay. But silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's discipline. It's focus. It's the decision to stop wasting energy on things that don't matter and start investing it in the things that do. When you carry your burdens in silence, you're not ignoring your pain. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're simply refusing to let it control you. Instead of giving your pain power, you channel it into something productive. You let it push you to work harder, to dig deeper, to grow stronger. Think about how much energy it takes to complain, to explain your struggles to others, to wait for their validation. Now imagine taking all that energy and redirecting it into action, Imagine using it to fuel your progress, to build something incredible, to prove to yourself what you're capable of. That's the power of silence. Complaining doesn't help. Sure, it feels good in the moment. It's nice to get that temporary relief, that fleeting sense of validation. But it doesn't change the fact that the weight is still there. And the more you focus on how heavy it is, the heavier it feels. But when you carry it in silence, when you stop giving it power and start giving your energy to the things that matter, everything changes. The weight you're carrying right now is shaping you in ways you can't even see yet. It's preparing you for challenges you haven't even faced. It's making you stronger, more resilient, more determined. But that growth doesn't happen if you spend your time seeking sympathy. It happens when you embrace the struggle, when you carry it silently, when you let it transform you into the person you're meant to be. So stop looking for validation. Stop waiting for someone to notice your pain. Stop giving your energy to things that don't move you forward. The world doesn't need to see your struggle. What the world needs is to see your strength. And that strength, it's already inside you. It's waiting for you to stop wasting time on the noise and start focusing on the work. Carrying your burdens in silence isn't easy. It takes courage. It takes discipline. It takes an unshakable belief in yourself. But when you choose silence, you choose growth. You choose progress. You choose transformation. One day, when you've reached the top of that mountain, you won't need to say a word. Your success will say it all. And the world, it will finally see what you've always known, that you were strong enough to carry that weight all along. The weight you carry is heavy, but here's the truth. It's not a punishment. It's a gift. That weight is here to transform you. It's forcing you to grow stronger, to dig deeper, to discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It's uncomfortable, painful even, but that's how growth happens. Growth never comes from comfort. It comes from resistance, from struggle, from moments when you feel like you're at your breaking point. That's when you learn what you're made of. Most people don't understand this. They see struggle as something to avoid, as something unfair. They want the rewards without the effort, the glory without the grind. They complain about the weight, hoping someone will lift it for them. But here's the thing. If someone else carries your burden, you miss out on the strength you would have built by carrying it yourself. The struggle is the process. It's what shapes you into someone unshakable. Think of a diamond. It doesn't become what it is through ease. It starts as something ordinary, carbon. But under immense pressure and heat, it transforms into something extraordinary, something unbreakable. That's exactly what happens to you when you embrace your challenges instead of running from them. The pressure you're under right now, it's turning you into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. But only if you let it. Only if you stop resisting and start seeing your burdens for what they really are. Opportunities. The shift happens when you stop focusing on the weight itself and start focusing on what that weight is building within you. Pain isn't here to punish you. It's here to teach you. It's here to force you to evolve, to grow, to become more than you ever thought you could be. But that transformation only happens when you stop running from the pain. You have to face it. You have to carry it. You have to embrace it. Carrying your burdens in silence isn't about ignoring your emotions or pretending everything is okay. It's about refusing to let your emotions control you. It's about taking the pain, the frustration, the anger, and channeling it into something productive. It's about using it as fuel to keep moving forward. When you do that, the pain doesn't just disappear, it transforms. It becomes power. Most people waste their pain. They let it consume them. They sit in it, complain about it, and let it define them. But that's not you. You're different. You're the kind of person who takes that pain and turns it into progress. You understand that pain is temporary, but the growth it produces is permanent. Every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, every time you felt like giving up, it's all adding up to something greater. Think about how muscles grow. When you lift weights, you're literally tearing the muscle fibers. It's painful, it's exhausting, but it's necessary. Those tears are what allow the muscle to rebuild itself stronger than before. That's exactly what's happening to you. The weight you're carrying is tearing you down, but it's also building you back up. And every time you push through, every time you take one more step, you're becoming stronger, even if you don't realize it yet. Silence plays a crucial role in this process. When you stop looking outward for validation, you're forced to look inward. You're forced to confront your fears, your doubts, your insecurities. And that's where the real work happens. That's where you start to understand who you really are and what you're capable of. In silence, there's clarity, there's focus. When you're not distracted by the noise of the world, by what people think, by what they say, by their opinions, you can finally hear your own voice. You can finally see your path. The distractions fade away, and all that's left is the work, the progress, the growth. This isn't about isolating yourself or cutting off the world. It's about learning to rely on yourself. It's about realizing that you don't need anyone else to tell you you're strong or capable or worthy. You don't need applause to keep going. You don't need recognition to prove your worth. All you need is the willingness to carry your burden one step at a time. When you embrace silence, something incredible happens. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop worrying about how far ahead they are or how much easier their lives seem. You realize that their journey has nothing to do with yours. The only competition is with yourself. The only question that matters is this: are you stronger today than you were yesterday? This shift changes everything. You start to see struggle not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. You start to understand that every challenge you face is making you better, sharper, more prepared for the future. You realize that the weight isn't there to break you, it's there to shape you. Discipline becomes your greatest ally. Carrying your burdens in silence requires discipline. It requires showing up every day, even when it's hard. It requires doing the work, even when no one is watching. But the more you practice discipline, the easier it becomes. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And as your discipline grows, so does your ability to carry the weight without letting it crush you. Over time, you become unshakable. You become the kind of person who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't give up when things get hard. You become the kind of person who thrives in adversity, who uses challenges as fuel for growth. And when you reach that point, nothing can stop you. This isn't just about achieving success. It's about becoming someone you're proud of. It's about knowing that you didn't take shortcuts, that you didn't rely on anyone else to carry you, that you earned every step of your journey. It's about living a life that's authentic, that's meaningful, that's yours. And when you finally reach the top of that mountain, when you've put in the work, when you've carried the weight and endured the struggle, you won't need to say a word. Your success will say it all. The world will see what you've accomplished, but more importantly, you'll know what it took to get there. You'll know the strength it required, the discipline it demanded, the resilience it built. There's a quiet power in carrying your burdens in silence. It's not about hiding your pain or pretending you don't have struggles. It's about owning them. It's about using them as stepping stones to something greater. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. When you stop wasting energy on complaints, on validation, on things that don't matter, you unlock a new level of focus and determination. You stop being weighed down by the opinions of others and start being lifted up by your own progress. The weight is still there, but it doesn't feel as heavy, because now you see it for what it really is. It's not a burden, it's a tool. It's shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for everything you're going to achieve. This is the turning point. This is where you stop being defined by your struggles and start being defined by your strength. This is where you transform. The weight is yours to carry, but that doesn't mean it has to break you. In fact, that weight is your greatest opportunity. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Every moment you endure the struggle is a moment closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. But how do you move forward when the weight feels unbearable? The answer isn't in shortcuts, and it's not in seeking validation. It's in the choices you make every single day. The small, quiet decisions that seem insignificant at the moment but, over time, compound into transformation. The first choice you have to make is acceptance. Most people spend their energy fighting the weight, wishing it wasn't there, resenting the fact that life hasn't been fair. But that resistance only makes the burden heavier. You have to accept the reality of where you are and the weight you're carrying, not with bitterness, not with defeat, but with a quiet determination. Acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about understanding that the only way out is through. It's about saying, "This is mine to carry, and I will carry it." Once you've accepted the weight, the next step is to stop seeking validation. This is where most people stumble. They want someone to acknowledge their struggle, to say, "I see how hard this is for you." But that desire for validation is a trap. It shifts your focus outward when it should be inward. The truth is, no one can truly understand your journey but you. And that's okay. Your success doesn't depend on the approval or recognition of others. It depends on your ability to keep moving forward, even when no one is watching. When you stop seeking validation, something shifts. You start to find strength within yourself. You stop wasting energy trying to prove your worth to others and start proving it to yourself. You realize that the only person you need to impress is the one staring back at you in the mirror. And when you start to see yourself as someone who can endure, someone who can carry the weight, you unlock a level of confidence and resilience that no one can take away. But acceptance and independence are only the beginning. The next step is to take action. It doesn't have to be massive. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. The most powerful transformations come from small, consistent actions. What can you do today to move forward, even just a little? Maybe it's waking up a little earlier to work on your goals. Maybe it's choosing to push through the discomfort instead of giving into it. Maybe it's taking one more step when everything in you wants to stop. Those small choices, repeated day after day, create momentum. And momentum is everything. There's a power in focusing on what you can control. When you stop worrying about the things outside your control, what others think, how unfair life feels, what obstacles lie ahead, you free up energy to focus on the things that matter. You focus on your effort, your mindset, your actions, and those are the things that determine your future. The weight you're carrying might not get lighter, but as you take action, you get stronger. Every step you take builds your endurance. Every challenge you face sharpens your resolve. Over time, the weight that once felt impossible to bear becomes manageable. Not because it changed, but because you did. As you grow stronger, you'll notice something else: clarity. When you stop being distracted by the noise, by what others are doing, by their opinions, by the endless distractions of the world, you start to see your path more clearly. You start to understand what really matters and what doesn't. You stop wasting time and energy on things that don't serve you, and you focus on what will move you forward. This clarity is one of the greatest gifts of carrying your burdens in silence. It forces you to strip away the unnecessary and focus on the essential. It teaches you to trust yourself, to rely on your own judgment, to prioritize your own goals. And as you do, you start to make progress in ways you never thought possible. Progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck, like you're not moving at all. But progress is happening, even when you can't see it. Every time you choose to carry the weight instead of putting it down, every time you push through instead of giving up, you're growing. And that growth is what sets you apart. One day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You'll see the strength you've built, the resilience you've developed, the person you've become, and you'll realize that the weight wasn't a burden after all. It was a tool. It was the very thing that made you who you are. When you reach that point, you won't need to say a word. Your actions will speak for themselves. Your success will be undeniable. The people who doubted you, who underestimated you, who thought you couldn't do it, they'll see the results, and they'll realize they were wrong. But by then, it won't matter. You won't need their validation. You won't need their recognition. Because you'll know, deep down, that you earned it. There's a quiet power in letting your results do the talking. When you succeed in silence without asking for applause, your success becomes that much more meaningful. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about knowing that you carried the weight, you put in the work, and you didn't give up. This journey isn't just about achieving your goals. It's about becoming someone you're proud of. It's about building a life that's authentic, that's meaningful, that's yours. It's about living with integrity, with purpose, with strength. Carrying your burdens in silence isn't easy. There will be days when the weight feels unbearable, when you want to quit, when you wonder if it's all worth it. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when you have the chance to prove to yourself what you're capable of. Every time you choose to keep going, every time you choose to take one more step, you're building something extraordinary. You're creating a foundation for a future that's bigger and brighter than anything you could have imagined. And when you finally reach that future, you'll look back and realize that every struggle, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt was worth it. This journey is yours. The weight is yours. And the strength you're building is yours. Embrace it. Own it. Carry it. Because one day, when you've reached the top of that mountain, you'll stand there knowing that you didn't just survive, you thrived. Your journey begins now. The weight you're carrying, the struggles you face, they are shaping you into something extraordinary. Stop waiting for someone to recognize your efforts or validate your pain. Instead, focus on what you can control, take that first step forward, and let your actions speak louder than words. If this message resonated with you, show your commitment to growth. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel for more powerful reminders that you are capable of so much more than you think. The world doesn't need to hear your struggle. It needs to witness your strength. The only question now is, what will you do next?